Mixing without referencing is kind of like doing archery with your eyes closed. You ever tried it? Oh, you don't know what you're missing. Literally. Now, you've probably tried using reference tracks, just not in a way that actually helps. And sometimes it even makes your mix sound worse. And if that sounds familiar, you're not alone. The good news? Referencing does actually work, once you know how to do it right. And fixing this one thing could change your entire mixdown game. Today I'll show you a better way to use reference tracks, one that makes your mix decisions faster, more confident, and helps you get that pro sound. But why listen to me? Well, my name is Bass Clef, and I've been a professional music producer since about 2004. I've released on hundreds of record labels like Spinnin', Defected, Toolroom, Armada, and many more. I've had multiple #1 records on Beatport and toured in over 33 countries. I've released as Bass Clef, Analog Soul, Tyson, and a bunch of other names. And back in 2016, I started my own online music production school to help people like you achieve your music production dreams. Now, most producers try referencing once or twice, get frustrated, and give up. They think, this is making me doubt my mix, or I can't get my track to sound like theirs, so they quit. But here's the truth. Referencing done right is one of the biggest mixdown cheat codes that we actually have. And in fact, it's kind of a magic bullet, but only if you follow a proper system. Now, if you don't clearly know what you're aiming for, how can you hit that target? Let's start with the biggest mistake I see. Most people don't volume match their reference tracks, not properly anyway. Most producers just drop a few reference tracks into the project and solo between them. But here's the thing about volume, and it's huge. We humans like things loud. If you ask us to choose between two different sounds, songs, or effects, we'll always choose the louder one as sounding better. So if your song is louder than your reference tracks, then you're going to think that you're killing it. And if your reference track is louder than your song, then you're going to think you suck, and this whole mixing thing is impossible. Now, that's not true. It's just how volume works. And this is considering that you are only using one reference track. Imagine when you've got multiple tracks all at different volumes and you haven't matched them. Now the whole comparison becomes extra unreliable. You can't make accurate mix decisions unless you're listening at the same perceived loudness. That means LUFS matched, not peak, not even RMS, but truly matched to your ear. So here's the first thing I'm talking about. People might have a reference track, they'll have it in their session up the top here, and they'll flick between it with the solo buttons. Often they don't even use the external out thing, they're just using the main and running it through their master bus, so hopefully they're at least doing that. But check out the volume difference. When I play this one, and then I go to our song, well, it doesn't sound as powerful. And if your volume is off like this, you're going to think that your song is not doing well. You think your reference track is better just because it's louder. Let's compare it to this one. Okay, we sound like we're doing better there, but really, that track is just quieter. So that's going to give us a false sense of confidence. So unless these things are at a matched volume, we're not going to be able to really know for sure what's happening. So I'm going to match the volume with them now with this plugin here. Very good reference plugin, by the way. Not a sponsored video, just really like this. Used it for a long time. These ones, we can even do it without the volume matching at first, and then we'll turn it on. Check this out. So you can hear how much louder it is. Okay, let's put the volume matching on. Not so different now, much more in line. And now you can even notice how crunchy and over-compressed and squashed that track is as well too. Let's come to this one that sounded a lot too quiet before. Turn on the volume matching. Look at that lift in level. Suddenly it starts to become a little bit more useful and a little bit more informative as to what the differences are with our song in the volume balance, the EQ, and all sorts of things in the mixdown. So volume of the whole song will throw you off. And unless you're volume balancing your reference tracks to your song, you're not going to be able to make clear, good mix decisions about what's going on, whether it's louder or quieter. Now you can do this manually with meters and things as well too. But just make sure that your mix will go up and down in volume, especially when you change the kick, the bass, or pretty much anything, especially the master bus. This is nice because it does it automatically without you even thinking. Now, by the way, this kind of thing, this attention to detail and proper setup we're doing here, this is one of the many things we teach inside Pro Sound Secrets. That's my complete mixdown system that teaches you what to do and when to do it to get consistently release-ready mixes. Now, we only open this a couple of times a year, and we keep it capped at 10 people per group so we can give proper hands-on support. So if you want early access, head over over to bassclef.com/PSS and jump on the waitlist. Links down below. Let's talk about another big one. Mistake number 2, not using enough reference tracks. You see, most people only just use 1 or 2, but that's kind of like forcing a square peg into a round hole. Not all tracks can be forced to be sonically the same as a single other song. It depends on the key, the melodies, the sound choices, the rhythms, and more. So instead of forcing your track to match one specific song, it's much better to take the average of many great mixdowns. Now, we need to know the average balance of the lows, the mids, and the high frequencies we should be aiming for our specific genre. So I recommend at least 8 to 12 reference tracks for each genre that you work on. Yeah, I know it might sound like a lot at first, but here's why. Every mix is a little different, every genre too. Some have more bass, some have more brightness, some are more compressed, etc. If you only pick one, you might be trying to match something that's a bit of an outlier. But if you have a group of 8 to 12 great mixes, you can start to see where the averages land. Then you just aim to sit somewhere comfortably inside that curve, somewhere in the middle. That's your safety net. So here's what I mean about taking the average. We could try and make our track just sound like this one and follow the represented curve at the bottom. And that would be telling us that this one has less bass and more treble and stuff like that. But then this one's quite different. This one has more bass and less mids. Now I've intentionally set up a few here that are quite different. But you can see how, even from the curve, or ideally listening first, you should be able to then take the average of what is happening there. Now I have a bunch of other tracks in there as well. And like I recommend, you should be using 8 to 12 of them. I can't play all of these because this is YouTube and the video will probably get taken down. But for whatever genre I'm working on, I have at least 8 to 12 tracks to compare against, to take the average, tracks that I spent time picking out, making sure that they are actually well-produced, well-mixed tracks so I can make good decisions. Another thing, you'll need different sets of reference tracks for each genre that you work on. If you make both chill deep house and heavy techno, you can't use the same references for both. Each one deserves its own palette, just like a painter wouldn't use the same color scheme for every single canvas. Now here's another one that trips people up. They try to match with EQ instead of just starting with volume and sound choice. Now EQ is important, but it should come after you've got the right volume balance and sounds. Get your levels as close as possible using just volume first. Only then use EQ to fine tune. So I've intentionally damaged our mix and thrown off the EQ color of it so that when we compare it to the reference track now, you're going to hear that it sounds different. So how's it sounding? A lot more bass heavy, a lot darker. And you could be tempted to want to put an EQ on that to try to fix that, whether on the master bus or on individual tracks, but you should be trying volume first. Let's come in and make a few small volume adjustments here and check this out. Just volume pulled the whole thing back into shape. Now don't worry too much about this line down here. It always matters what you're hearing more. That can be useful, but that's a whole nother story to dig into. But look how much you can achieve with volume before you even touch an EQ. Now there's a system to referencing, just like there's a system to mixdowns. Doing things in the wrong order or choosing the wrong tool for the job is the most common way people sabotage themselves. Now this is one of the reasons we build referencing into the actual structure of the ProSound secret system. It's not something you only do at the end, it's part of the process the whole way through. And when you do it right, it helps guide your decisions instead of just confusing you. Again, if you want to follow a proven mixdown system instead of just guessing, join the waitlist at bassclef.com/PSS. Bonus tip for you, try doing all your referencing in mono, at least at the start. Now why? Well, because stereo width can be distracting. Some tracks are wide, some tracks are narrow, but that's not what you should be focusing on yet. Your volume balance and your EQ are much more important than your stereo field. So focus on these first. Now, when your reference tracks and your track are all in mono, you can hear the core of the mix better. The volume balance, the EQ or tonal curve, then you can make better decisions and easier. Now, side note, you should also make sure your song obviously translates and sounds great whether it is in mono or stereo as well. Drop me a comment if you want me to make a video about that subject too. So check this out as I flick through these tracks here, these reference ones, listen to how the stereo image changes. Some are definitely wider than others. Some definitely have some parts wider than others, whether the drums or melodic ones. Let's put the whole thing in mono now. That means just putting a mono plugin after your reference plugin. That way your song and all the reference tracks are in mono. We can ignore any stereo differences now. So this makes it so much easier to pinpoint and notice the differences in the frequencies and the volume balance and even the sound selection, which all matter much, much more than what's going on in the stereo. We can always deal with that later, but this stuff matters more. Okay, so let me ask you this. If you've been referencing tracks without volume matching, if you've only been using 1 or 2 tracks, if you've been overusing EQ instead of volume balances, then how many other things are you missing? How many unknown unknowns are quietly holding back your mixes? Now, this is why I explain my full system in Pro Sound Secrets, because it's not about just one trick or tip. It's about putting all the right pieces in the right order. It's about how you mix, not just what you use. And once you got a system like that, your results become, well, not only amazing, but also predictable, reliable, repeatable, and fun. Now, if this helped you rethink how to use reference tracks, imagine what a full mixdown system could do. Head to bassclef.com/PSS, join that waitlist and be first in line when doors open again, which is happening soon.